my presentation, just a small observation. I mean, this is one of the first times I'm attending a VARINDIA event. I was listening to the introduction of our honored guests, as well as I had a chance to interact with some of you outside in the booths before this event started. So this is an observation from me after attending many events with different partners in the industry. I think this room has one of the highest number in terms of experience in the industry, one of the highest numbers in terms of an overall workings. And I think we all should give ourselves a simple round of applause for that. Thank you for coming on a Friday evening. Thank you. Okay, moving to Dell Wise. Now, Supertron, Chandru actually introduced you to Supertron, what Supertron does. Dell Wise is one of the products. Supertron is one of our leading partners in our GTM strategy. And I would like to just bring to the notice of why we are talking about something like a virtualization, about a thin client in today's scenario. I mean, we still use phones, we still use laptops. So, my first slide is, if you would see, is just a jumbled up slide of numbers. You will just see a lot of numbers here. People talking about 70 million, 3 billion, 350 million. I would not talk about these numbers. Let's just face our own experiences. How many years back were we dependent on one landline phone for all our verbal communications? Today, our telephone devices are basically not the landline, they are our smartphones. Many of us, I mean, I personally feel a little bit shaky if I don't have my smartphone with me for more than half an hour, because I don't know how many mails I'll be getting. At the same time, if you look around, the poor man's phone is no longer the old handheld devices, the mobile phones or the Reliance devices which used to come based on CDMA technology. Today the poor man's phone, people would say Android. We have so many brands in the market, we have so many players in the market. So what is the outcome of all these technologies at your disposal? There are many ways technology is affecting us which you would not realize directly unless some light is thrown on that. And that the biggest impact is data. If you look around, you will see the data size increasing in multiple folds. Imagine, roll back a few years back, an event like this, there would always be an email and there would be a postal communication sent across to all the invitees. Today, we send the communication through 5 different or 6 different mediums. There are online and mobile technology has given us that kind of an exposure. Now imagine the amount of data it generates, and imagine the need to manage that kind of a data. So that is where we get the next question. Now many of you I know are working in the IT industry. You either are in a profile where you manage infrastructures, talk to people who manage infrastructures, or deal with infrastructure procurement, or sell IT infrastructure to others. How many times has the 2 major points mentioned here, that is cost and focus on innovation? How many times has an IT admin come back and told, I do not want to manage IT tickets, trouble tickets, I do not want to manage failed devices, or I do not want my team to spend most of their time in managing devices? How many times have people actually raised these questions where they talk about, can I have a device or can I have a system which will enable me to manage everything from a single window? Will the working hour of my employees not be the hindering factor in smooth running of my technology? Even if it is 12 o'clock in the night, the technology should be available. I mean, when I started working, I was given a desktop in my first company. A few days back, one of my cousins joined his first company and he was given a list, a shopping list. He can choose from the brands of laptops he can get to the company. The company will reimburse that, and that becomes his own personal laptop. BYOD, bring your own device. Now, along with BYOD, we also use a term internally in Dell, very, in a funny way. We call bring your own data. So if you get a laptop, you just do not use it for your company data. You use it to access websites, you use it to access do a lot of things. We spend most of our time online as we spend offline in today's scenario, knowingly or unknowingly. That is where all these concerns keep coming up. With the number of devices coming into the kitty, how do we categorize? How do we manage? These are the challenges which industry is facing. Now, if you see the first point there, and if you see the banner in the middle, you will see a common word there, that is security. Recently, you would have seen some newspaper article where the government had asked its departments not to use smartphones for internal communication. Why? Security threat. We do not know who's looking up on our data and through what medium. It is no longer a thief who breaks into our house. It might be a thief who's sitting in some other country trying to send us a simple email or a simple photograph or send us a WhatsApp message by accessing which our data can be compromised. So technology has its limitations, and as an industry, as a stakeholder in the government, most of the IT teams are concerned about security. Second is optimizing of resources, something which I just talked about. The next point is basically still with these limitations, with these challenges, how do we still empower our workforce? Now, let me take the example of my cousin. My cousin was very happy when he got his list of laptops. But I told him, boss, when you get your laptop, then your company expects you to even work when you're not in office. Your functioning should not be hindered. So that's the downside of that. How do we optimize? How does my physical presence not in fact impact the performance of me in the overall company's performance or growth? Similarly, at the end of the day, which always matters in India, how do we manage the costs? We all are cost conscious, right? So this slide is just a brief introduction. I know it's a Friday evening, and honestly this is the first time I've come in Park Street on a formal dress in a Friday evening. So I'm going to only give you a small introduction of what this slide talks about. We can interact one-on-one and we can connect later on when we talk about this technology in a lab. So Dell's portfolio basically covers three parts, or if you look at a regular VDI portfolio. When we talk about virtualization, VDI is part of the virtualization. In today's scenario, if you use, how many of us have a Gmail account here? I think almost a lot of hands coming up. We are using a VDI device. You can access your Gmail over the cloud, over your phone, over your laptop. You can just go to any cyber cafe and access your email. And the same mails come in the same sequence. That is virtualization. Now bring it to the corporate scenario. That is where VDI comes into the picture. Virtual desktop infrastructure. By desktop, it basically means clients. How do we manage the end user devices by virtualizing them? So end of the day, what happens is the company decides what are the critical applications if every employee should have an access. Now it can differ. A sales guy has a different access, an IT guy has a different access, finance guys should have a different access. So how do we manage and make them secure? We host them at a data center. That is where the data center appliances come. Servers, storage, networking, all those things. And then how do these two connect? That is where the virtualization layer comes into the picture. And then in the end, for an IT infrastructure, you need some endpoint devices, which will be number one, very slim, number two, very easy to operate and manage, number three, enabled to work in such an environment where you get all the applications you want the users to access, but at the same time, not compromise your internal data or security. Which means, whatever work you do, everything gets saved on the server. That is VDI, and that is the power VDI brings to it. Now, if you bring thin clients to these portfolio, by wise clients, we basically mean thin clients. Wise was a company which was a global leader in thin clients. Dell acquired it 3 years back, and today Wise is the brand name for the VDI practice of Dell. We have thin clients, we have storage devices, we have enabled, we have appliances, which basically are plug-and-play devices for an 8 user, 10 user, 50 user, 10,000 user setup. So basically, we are simplifying things. We believe in simplifying things rather than complicating it. And at the same time, the message which we bring to the table is VDI is not a very big jazzy term for only the large enterprise. Even small vendors can use VDI. I'll give you a good example at the later phase of this presentation. These are just simple tenets which we talk about when we talk about our VDI presentation. I mean, for any company who is involved in VDI will talk about them. Number one, thin clients use 10% of the power which is used by a regular desktop or a laptop. So how does it transform as a benefit to the company? Imagine a company running 500 users or 10,000 users. How's the cost benefit it comes to? Number two, it is enabled and optimized to run the applications which you want them to run. So no lag. Thin clients are called thin clients, but they come with enough power to run the applications you need. Number three, they are connected. You comply with your company policies overall. This is a slide which has been relevant, I think, for the last 5-6 years, where you have a comparison of how the overall cost of ownership of a PC goes up as in its life cycle. Because we all know, right, a regular desktop or a laptop or any client device will be very tough to manage as it goes out on the later phases of its life. Whereas a thin client has an average shelf life of 5 to 7 years, and it consumes 1/10 of the power again. Very low failure rates, which basically means 10% or 5% failure rates compared to regular devices. And similarly, rapid deployment. You do not need to walk up to every desktop to deploy the profiles or images. You can just do up to 25 to 40,000 deployments from one single window. How? Through our portfolio of softwares. That is where Wise has also enabled its own ecosystems of softwares which enable you to manage not just thin clients but also any computer devices or end customer devices. So now we will talk about a little more, very little. I know it's been a long evening and long day, so I'm going to keep this one short. I just told you that I'll give you an example. So how many of us nowadays have been to a dentist someday or the other? I have been many times. So there's a change. If you visit to a dentist nowadays or a dental hospital nowadays, there's a change which you see in the private dental clinics. Earlier, the dentist used to tell you to go and take an X-ray, come back, show the X-ray, and then do his operation. Today, that single chair of a dentist, where the dentist treats the patient, which I call the dreaded chair because it gives you a lot of pain, is a chair where you get an X-ray, where you get a display device, where you get access to the patient record history by just entering the patient's name. And in many places, the dentist changes, but still the treatment doesn't stop. There have been cases. How does this work out to be? Hospital information systems enabled by thin clients. We are working with multiple vendors across. So this is a very small impact which we have in our day-to-day life. There are multiple examples which I can talk about, which are, because of, in the interest of time, I'm not going to talk. This is one of the operating systems which we run on Wise. It is basically the most secure operating systems in the world. It is a 6 MB based operating system which is enabled to work in any VDI environment. You just plug it on, it automatically interacts on the backend, connects to the server, and if your rules are fixed, thin client is up and running within 6 seconds. There are videos in YouTube. You can just click and say thin OS versus Windows or thin OS versus Linux, where they will just switch on a thin OS based thin client or a device and a Windows, and you will see how fast or what is the difference between the switch on or boot up time which they have. So that, and on top of it, it is totally secure. You cannot crack. It is literally uncrackable. We did talk a little bit more on security. So just a point of mention, because we are talking about security here. A recent release of Dell is a thin client, which is based on fiber technology, which has been the biggest success across the globe, especially in the defense industry, because of security concerns. There has been 100 all in all. So there has been all in all, acceptance in Europe, Australia and Americas, and very soon this product is coming to India. Lastly, just reiterating what Chandru said, we are here committed to deliver technology, we are here committed to deliver solutions, and we are partnering with the distributors as well as resellers to bring technology to your reach, within your reach. Definitely we are listening, so please come forward. If you have any queries, please reach out to us. We will be there to support you. Thank you.